So in this video we're going to look at identifying some key terms and finding the degrees of a polynomial. So the key things about polynomials is that we need to understand the difference between a variable, which is the letters, the coefficients, which are the numbers in front of the letters, the variables, like and unlike terms. Like terms are terms that have the exact same variable with the exact same exponent, and unlike terms are terms that have same variables maybe, but the exponent might be different. And we'll go over more of that later on. So for example, we have a polynomial here. Polynomials are divided into different types. We have monomials, which are one term, binomials, which are two terms, trinomials, which are three terms, and in this situation we have a four-term polynomial, and anything after a three-term polynomial we just give it the name of polynomial. So here we have four terms. Terms are separated by plus or minus signs. The variable in this situation are the letters that represent something. So the variables are all x. The coefficients are whatever is in front of the variable. So the coefficient of x cubed is 4. The coefficient of x squared is 2. The coefficient of x is 3. And this is not a coefficient. We consider this a constant. A constant has no variable attached to it. As before, we talked about different types of polynomials, different names. We have a monomial, which is a one term. So for example, 4x cubed, that is a one term. Terms are separated with plus or minus signs. Negative 2y is a monomial. And just the number by itself is considered a monomial as well. A binomial, just like a bicycle has two wheels, has two separate terms separated by a plus or minus sign. So two separate terms here and two separate terms here as well. This is considered a binomial. A trinomial, like a tricycle, has three wheels, has three terms separated by plus or minus signs. So here we have one term, two term, three terms, one term, two term, three terms. Be careful. For example, right now these are all unlike terms. None of the variables have the exact same exponent on them. They're all different. Therefore, they're considered different terms. If this was written out, for example, and this happened to be x or 7x, which is not, but if it was 7x, you would combine these two terms together to get a binomial. So be very careful when you're dealing with monomials, binomials, and trinomials. If you can combine like terms, things that are the same, then we would actually do that first before we label it. Identifying the degree of a polynomial. The degree of the polynomial is the degree of a single term. So for example, here the degree is whatever the exponent is attached to the variables. So this would have degree of 2. The coefficient does have a degree of 1, but that does not count. The only thing that matters is when you're dealing with a degree is the exponent on the variables. So this would have a degree of 5. When you get to questions like this has degree of 2, the y has degree of 3, and the x has a degree of 1. So we add them all together to get a degree of 6. So again, when you're finding the degree of a term, you add all the exponents together, keeping in mind that the letter x or the variable x has an exponent of 1 attached to it. This x here has a degree of 1 because the exponent would be 1. We don't show the 1, but it's there. And the degree of a constant would always be 0. So when you're dealing with degrees of polynomials or binomials or trinomials, or in this situation a polynomial, we look at the individual term, and the degree of the polynomial is the highest individual term, not all the terms added together. So in this trinomial, the highest degree is 3. This has degree of 1, and this has degree of 0, so the polynomial has a degree of 3. We would then have to write it in standard form, and in this situation this is in standard form. To write it in standard form, we first go degrees first, so x to the power 3, x to the power of 1, x to the power of 0, so the degrees or the exponents are in order, and then you would go alphabetical. In this situation they're all x's, so that doesn't really apply. Here we have another polynomial, x to the power of 1, x to the power of 5, x to the power of 0, x to the power of 3. To find the degree of the polynomial, we look for the highest degree, which happens to be x to the power of 5, so our degree is 5. We do not add up all these exponents. We only add up the exponents if they look like this. If they look like this and they're all side by side being all multiplied together, then we add the exponents up. In this situation, that's not the case. They're separate terms separated by plus or minus signs. The standard form of this would have to be negative 3x to the power of 5 first. The next highest degree would be the 3, so plus 2x cubed plus 2x cubed plus 8x, and then minus 7 minus 7. This is the standard form. Standard form is the order in which most people will write it. It's the standard that math wants. The next one here, we look again. We have degree of 3, degree of 2, degree of 1, degree of 0. So we have the term, the degree of 3 for the polynomial. And then standard form, we look again, we look at the highest exponent. It's this one, and it's negative 4x cubed minus 2x squared plus 3x. This is a positive 2, which turns into a plus 2. So if we're dealing with two or more variables, once again, we just combine the exponents. So here's our polynomial. This would have degree of 2, 1 here and 1 there. Degree of 3, and this would be degree of 4. So the entire polynomial has degree of 4. We do not add all the exponents together. It's individualized terms. And then when we look at standard form, which we always leave our answer in standard form, we will put it as x to the power, or the degree of 4 would go first. That's this one. This is degree of 3, so minus 2x squared y. And this is degree of 2, so that would come last. The last polynomial, this has degree of 4, 2 and 2. 8 has degree of 0, and y to the power of 5. So this would have to come first because it has the highest exponent. The next would be this term minus x squared y squared, and this would be a positive 8, so we will leave it as a plus 8. Again, always leave your answers in standard form.